G'day Bomber fans, we've got gather round team selection. I'm going to be really quick with this because I'm recording it during 3/4 time of the Crows and Geelong game, and it is really good footy, so I don't want to miss too much of that. But yeah, team selection, really interesting one. I was pretty confident with what we were going to go in with, and I was wrong. But yeah, I mean, there's a few injuries, a few players from both teams returning from injuries, maybe some tactical changes. There's a bit to talk about. But yeah, gather round, get around it. The city is absolutely pumping at the minute. And as most of you would know, that I live in Adelaide, and it is a bloody ghost town for about 90% of the year. It only gets some life into it when the fringe is on, and also when it's gather round. So it is just awesome vibes right now in the city. If you're here, go for a walk around, run a mall, see what players and I guess high profile figures you run into. It is pretty hard to avoid them, to be honest. It's a small city with 18 teams all in it at the same time. It is good fun. It's pretty awesome. But yeah, let's get into the team selection. Okay, here are the changes. Melbourne have made one change, unforced. Dan Turner comes out of the side, as many thought would be the case. He is replaced by Xavier Lindsay, who is returning from that injury. That surprised me a bit. I thought maybe it was rushing him back a little bit for a first-year player. But I guess he gets the all clear. Now, that is a midfielder or halfback flanker coming in for a marking target up forward. I'm going to talk about why that is maybe interesting a bit later on. But Essendon, we've made two forced changes. After our Port win, Tom Edwards did his ACL and Jai Caldwell did his hamstring. In comes Archie Perkins, who returns from a quad injury, and Will Setterfield, who comes in for his first game of the season after impressing in the VFL. Now, I thought Elijah Sartas would come straight back after recovering from that broken hand he suffered against the Crows, in the warm-up against the Crows, but Setterfield comes into the side instead. I'm not 100% sure why Sartas hasn't come in, so we're not going to jump to any conclusions. He is listed on the emergencies list, so I guess he can play. I think maybe there are a few reasons for him not being included. I don't know which one is right, so I don't know. I don't know, maybe with Caldwell out, Parrish not being back yet, we wanted some experience against that grunty Melbourne midfield. Or maybe we're taking a no-risk approach with his hand, giving him an extra week because we had a like-for-like waiting in the wings. I don't know. Personally, I'm not thrilled with the selection. If it is just about playing the better player, I don't know. It is tough. Because on one hand, you should always reward players whose form is good enough to, be playing. Setterfield has been fantastic in the VFL. And if we're trying to win the game, it makes sense for Setterfield to enter the team. But also, I think we should probably be playing Sartas as much as possible. For me, if Sartas now spends weeks in the VFL behind Setterfield and others, let's say it's round 7 or round 8 and he still hasn't come back into the team, I'll be annoyed. But if he comes back in, I'll understand. I'll be happy with this particular team selection. So this will be one in hindsight that we look back on and judge. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird. So ideal world, I would have liked to have seen Sartas in the team, and maybe that would have made us a worse team for it. There's definitely an argument there, but also maybe there's a reason for him being left out. I don't know. I'm just going to give Scott and co the benefit of the doubt here. Their team selections have been great so far this year. We didn't need the extra debutant. We do have Archer Daywicks on the emergencies, by the way. Okay, let's quickly run through both teams. By the way, Rory Laird's just given the Cats a bit of a sniff there with a horrible kick into the mark. Cameron finishes it off. How good is Jeremy Cameron, by the way, guys? How good is footy? This is great. This is peak enjoyment gather round for me. I absolutely love what I'm watching. But yeah, starting with the Ds, they're missing some players. It's still a pretty decent defence, though. I think the players they're missing, even without Jake Lever, you look at... I mean, their defence hasn't been the issue at all. The way they played against the Cats, you saw that they were keeping him down. So Jake Bowie, Stephen May, Harrison Petty, Trent Rivers off halfback, Tom McDonald and Christian Salem. There's plenty there. It could be hard to score against them. You've also got Cade Chandler on the wing with Ed Langdon. I'd love to see Ed Langdon on the same wing as Dersma, by the way. That would be a great matchup. Viney in the guts. Up forward, you've got Jack Henderson. Bailey Fritsch keeps his spot in the team. Cozzy Pickett, super dangerous player. Jake Melksham also keeps his spot in the team. Jacob Van Rooyen and Charlie Spargo. Gorn, Track, Langford in the guts, Caleb Windsor, Clayton Oliver, Xavier Lindsay, Harry Sharp, and Tom Sparrow round out the team. Now, something to note here, that forward line is very small. So, yeah, we've got two big key backs, Mackay and Reid. One's going to be on Jacob Van Rooyen, who is quite mobile. I think he's actually smaller than Jordan Ridley. But yeah, it's an odd team selection from the Ds, dropping Turner, who is a marking target, and not bringing another in. So maybe we're going to see a big reliance on the ground ball inside 50 for them. We should be beating them in the air. We've got genuine height there compared to them. We have to. But on ground level, I don't know how Reid and Mackay are going to go. Unless I'm missing something. I think that forward line maxes out at about 190 to 195 centimetres with Van Rooyen, and he's not very tall. Who else in there is even above 190? Fritsch is under, I'd say. And if he's not under, he's barely over. Melksham's under. Pickett, Spargo, and Henderson are very small. So yeah, that's interesting. That's a big one for me. That could be a big decider in how the game plays out. Their small forward line and our tall defence. But let's have a look at our team. Our team, by the way, guys, in case you're wondering, Jeremy Cameron's just kicked another, and we've got a juicy game of footy. So, yeah, Andy McGrath, Ben Mackay, Jordan Ridley, Mason Redmond, Zach Reid, Jackson Pryor. The more I think about it, the taller that backline gets, because even guys like Redmond and Pryor and co, they're taller than Spargo and Pickett. So, yeah, there's a bit of height there. That is really interesting. You've got Dursma on one wing, Roberts on the other, Perkins listed in the guts, which is interesting. Gresham, Caddy, Martin, Harry Jones, Draper, Kako, Brian in the ruck, Merritt and Durham below him. And then on the bench, we've got Benny Hobbs, the Hobgoblin, Shield, Setterfield, Menzies, and the GOAT, Sardell Hawley. Now, I doubt he's the sub again, but also, I mean, that impact changed the game, so I wouldn't hate it if he was the sub. I know people would be annoyed, but he does look like the perfect sub option. I do think it's more likely Menzies or someone, Menzies or Hobbs. Probably Menzies is the sub. But yeah, not as young as other weeks, our team. There's still, plenty of inexperience. But yeah, I think looking at this team, I think it does make a bit more sense now why Setterfield was included. Just because that midfield is so inexperienced. You've got Merritt, that is great. But then after that, you've got Durham in his second year as a midfielder. Perkins, who's still young too, barely plays there when he does play footy. Ben Hobbs is in the same boat. If we threw Sartas in, it probably would have gotten pretty ugly against such an experienced Melbourne midfield. I guess Dylan Shield's probably going to run through there a bit too, but I mean, still, I get why Setterfield gets the nod. Just looking at the ins and outs, it's hard. It makes you want Sartas, but looking at the actual names on the list, on the lineup as a whole, we probably did need some experience in the guts. It makes a bit more sense to me now. Okay, and something we do every team selection now. Oh god, I forgot who suggested. I would go back and look through the comments to see who gave me this idea. I did say it in the last team selection video, but I do want to watch this game of footy, so apologies. But yeah, a great idea. Whoever told me to do it. It is to compare the teams, or Essendon, to how we lined up the last time we played them. So to see how different it is, the ins and outs. So the last time we played, it was a scrappy wet weather game. The D's won by 17 points. And by the way, since that game, Melbourne have just won one match of footy. So, yeah. Let's look at our changes and whether or not our team is better or worse. Nick Cox is out. Zach Reid is in. Guelphy is injured. Kako's in. A few injuries, actually. Jake Stringer is injured. He's at the Giants. I believe Hobbs was in the VFL this time last year. Jake Kelly is replaced by pretty much Jake Kelly. Cole Langford is injured, big loss. Caldwell too, Wright too. Actually, our injury list is not great when you look at that. Heppel and Hind both gone. I mean, yeah, if we go like for like with a few of these, which I've tried to do, I've tried to line up players, with who would be replacing them, but there are some positional changes which make it tough. Ben Hobbs is not a like for like with Jake Stringer, obviously, but looking at the guys who improve our team this year, I mean, Kako, Zach Reid. After that, it's tough though. It's 50-50 or we're going backwards. So yeah, I guess we're missing so many big names through injury. Then you've got the retirees being replaced by first and second year players. So yeah, we're much younger, much less experienced. And this time last year, the D's were missing Max Gawn, so their squad is probably better than ours both last year and this year. It's funny. It's all about form, really. It's weird how much things can change in a year. We're favourites going in. But yeah, that is that. Quick little team update video. I'm keen for this game. I should be fun. I'm keen to see you lot at the game, actually. If you see me, extend that arm for the crispest of high fives. I'm going to be I'm going to be near the hill. I'm going to be in the seats near the hill. Probably pretty drunk. I'm coming straight from a party with an open tab, so might be a little bit gone. And by the way, speaking of drinks, Adelaide Oval refreshments. You guys are going to love this if you haven't been to Adelaide Oval before. I always forget when I go to Melbourne, whether it's Marvel or the G, that you guys have the choice of beer and more beer. Whereas at Adelaide Oval, we've got the goods. We've got Suntory's, I think we've got Bilson's, we've got lots. So enjoy that. There's some good drinks. The catering's just better at Adelaide Oval. It's just a better stadium. Sorry guys, apologies, but it is pretty great. But yeah, See you at the game. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and as always, go Bombers.